So the saying, it's better to give than receive, it truly resonates for the man you're about to meet. Brad Formsma is the founder and president of I Like Giving, and he's written the book on the transformative power of living a generous life. I've read this, it's a great read. He also spearheads a digital platform for storytelling and idea sharing, and his son Drew is here with us today to tell us how progressive generosity has impacted his life. Brad, Drew, thank you so much for being here.
It's great to be here.
So, I mean, this really was some moving stuff here. I'm a New Yorker, so I need to be inspired. Tell us a little bit about your journey, how you came to write I Like Giving.
Yes, I had the privilege of my grandpa modeling generosity early. He would say things like, you know, Bradley, you make a living by what you get, but a life by what you give. And then he just kind of showed me this generosity in the way that he thought of other people, the way that he used his words, the way that he shared his money, the way that he shared his stuff, and his influence. And so I had the privilege of Grandpa modeling it early. And
you've been at this some time. So Drew, you've literally grown up with this idea about giving. How has it affected you?
Yeah, so as I've been a part of many of these giving stories, one day I was with my friends at the mall and I decided to do my own giving story. So I was in line getting ice cream. This kid in front of me had a handful of change. I was like, this is my time to do my own giving story. So my friends are behind me and I paid for his ice cream. He's like, sure you don't want my change? I'm like, no, you can keep it for next time. I walk out with this joy and happiness, and my friends are all like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I get to give. It's this whole thing that started with my dad's grandpa, went down to him, to me, and I'm passing it on to my friends. And I think everyone should have this own ripple effect in their family. And a great tool is the I Like Giving book, because there's many stories that you can read to your family at the dinner table. And a lot of kids these days need this giving because there's so much that we put on kids these days. And so giving is a great tool.
And I love you mentioned the family aspect of this. And the book itself, it's written short stories, so easy to read, great on your morning commute. At the end of the day, what is it that you hope people are going to take away from reading this?
Well, we want people to be able to see generosity as something they get to do. And, you know, there's something significant when it's your idea. And so we just want to help give people story, which allows them to go from awareness into action. And then that habit starts to take place, which results in this incredible impact and ripple to many, many other people in generation to generation.
Now, if you're at home thinking, well, which I was kind of guilty of myself, you know, I don't want to go into debt, or maybe I'm giving money to people and I don't know how they're going to use it, or I don't have the time to do this. You really explain and address these ideas in this, right? So we're not alone in our thinking like that.
No, not at all. In fact, one day I went down to get our newspaper. I lived in Michigan at the time, and there's an article of a Sudanese father and son, and the article went on to say that these guys had gone through such terrible things, firebombed out of their village, and now here they live in this little home, and they have clothes on their back and a few bikes. In fact, the bike is how the dad gets to work, and the bike is the son's toy. And some thugs stole their bikes. And so it was an opportunity for our family to look at that and say, how could we play a role in that? So we read it, and my oldest son said, we got to go get them bikes. And so we headed out to go get them bikes. 4 hours driving around our city, we finally found these people. And the man, because of the language barrier, all he could say is, I like bike, I like bike, I like bike. And that really was the beginning of this movement called I Like Giving, where we would just tell that simple story, and our friends started coming back to us with, I like cavities, and I like Taco Bell, and I like down coats, and it was like permission.
Right. But Brad, you're also taking this into churches, into corporations.
What we found is that people are really embracing the idea of a story to teach them how to be generous, because so often when we hear about generosity, we think someone wants to get money from us. But when you bring generosity and the culture of it into a business, you could be generous in the way that you maybe don't hit send on that email. You could be generous in the way you collaborate, the way you use your words. And of course, that then ripples into the interactions with employees and vendors. I think we're finding it's just really good for the business as a whole. And of course, churches have always had this way of talking about generosity that seems just money oriented. And I think that we're helping invite people into a bigger conversation, the bigger generosity word.
Right, so you guys are really living life forward. Now, I love your website. You have a ton of videos on there. They've been seen more than 31 million times in 170 countries.
Well, you're going to see 17 different stories that show generosity from different perspectives. People want a place to come and get good, clean content to inspire. 3, 4, 5-minute stories that bring people from age 8 to 98 in those stories. You see, what's happened is that those films are viewed in businesses, they're viewed in churches and nonprofits and colleges as a way of lifting up people and moving them from awareness to action.
Okay, and you've actually taken it a step farther, and you want people to have your email address and share their stories with you?
Absolutely. We put our email in the back of the book, Brad the number 1 at ilikegiving.com, because we want to hear those stories from you. We want to use them in our social media platforms on Facebook. We want to share them with others because generosity inspires generosity. And so we want to just help bring people into the conversation, bring them into the movement, and have them change their family trajectory like it's changed ours.
And you're seeing that in your world, right?
Yes.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you guys so much for being here. And if you guys want to know more about I Like Giving, or maybe you want to share your own stories, you can go to ilikegiving.com. And of course, you can always come to our website for more.